Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Angry TV with me, Angry Britain, off the Twitter. So this is the big decider video. If you've been watching my channel and been subscribing recently, you will know that I have switched to a Google Pixel 6 Pro. Okay, I've done 2 videos on it now, the things that I've really enjoyed about using it and the things that I have hated about using it. But this whole thing to start with was a bit of an experiment. Okay, the idea was that I was going to switch from one phone to 2. I can have a work phone and a personal phone. Now, I have always been an iPhone user. Okay, I've had every generation of iPhone pretty much, and I've always used them, always liked them, always enjoyed them, never really had any serious issues with them, and it's just kind of what I've been used to. Okay, but that's fine up until we're at now 13. This is a 12 Pro, and they're all the same. Okay, and any iPhone user watching this video will agree that that gets a bit boring, and quite often we'll look at Android phones and go, that's interesting, that looks nice. So now, but the Google Pixel 6 came along, and it was the closest thing that I'd seen really to an iPhone equivalent. Okay, it was a nice size, good price, native Android 12, and it just kind of had a bit of iPhoneiness about it, which was great. So anyway, I bought that primarily as a work phone. That was the idea, but what I actually did was use it as my personal phone. I have done now for about a month. But the time has come for me to make a decision on whether I'm going to stick with it or switch back to iPhone. Okay, now, this is going to come as no surprise to a lot of people watching. I am going to switch back to iPhone. Okay, now I know a lot of you will switch off this video at this point and just go, there's another bloody iPhone user trying Android for YouTube likes and then switch back a month later. And that's right, it's true. But that was never the intention. Okay, and I think I've been completely fair and given this a really good go. So what I want to run through in this video is the reasons why I'm switching back to iPhone. So here they are. Okay, so the first thing is ease of use. Now, with one of these, everything you do is really intuitive and really easy and simple. And what I'm finding with the Google Pixel 6 Pro is that it's all a little bit unnecessarily complicated. Okay, now I know that customization is one of the huge advantages of Android phones over iPhones, but I'm finding that a lot of it is really unnecessary. Like simple stuff like setting alarms and timers and switching on and off Bluetooth, it's all overly complicated. There are millions of different options every time you try and do something, and to be honest, it's a bit annoying. You just don't need it. I mean, I know people like to customise things to the nth degree and you can't do it on an iPhone, but for me, an iPhone has the right sort of balance. There's bits that you can customise and bits that you can't, but the bits that you can are the bits you actually want to. Does that make sense? So just generally using this thing day to day, it's just a little bit overly complicated. Something else I really don't like is Gmail. I hate Gmail, it's just awful. Apple Mail is a million times better. I know there are clients you can get for this, but again, it's just little simple things that are overly complicated, overly difficult, and just not very nice to use. Okay, when you're using it day to day for work or personal stuff, it's just a little bit hard work. Okay, now, it's not to say I haven't enjoyed using the phone, because I have, but I'm just finding it a little bit like hard work, and that's not great. Okay, so the next reason is pretty much what I covered in my 5 things I hate about it. There are some things that are just massively frustrating. The main one is the fingerprint scanner, which is just hopeless. Again, I've seen some comments on my video saying put your thumb on it properly. It's done it now. But it's just one of those things that niggles at you every day. Every time you unlock your phone, you have to do it 3 or 4 times. It's just annoying. Android Auto is the other big one. I'm in my car a lot, and the fact that this won't display properly on my car screen, it's just irritating. The car's now been into Hyundai. They can't fix it because there's no Hyundai fix yet. So I'm stuck with a phone that only takes up 2/3 of a massive screen in my car. It's just rubbish. So those little annoyances, they may get fixed, they may not. I've seen another video on YouTube today about January updates for this. It doesn't seem to have fixed the fingerprint scanner. So that's going to be an ongoing issue. You really need to sort that out, Google, because little things like that add up to big things that annoy people, and people don't want to be annoyed by their phones. Okay, so the next thing is something that iPhone users are going to understand. It's iMessage and FaceTime. Okay, now I was fine without it for a couple of weeks. I was using WhatsApp and it's okay, But once you've had iMessage and FaceTime, anything else just doesn't compare. It just doesn't. Okay, I've got lots of friends with iPhones, and to talk to them on WhatsApp is okay, but I'm used to sending GIFs and videos and sending stuff around, having chat groups, and everyone being able to talk to each other in really easy, quick chats. Doing that with WhatsApp across platform is hard work. Okay, you can't send videos to each other. If you do send videos, they're tiny and they're really bad quality. I'm now out of a load of chat groups that I was in on iMessage, and they're family ones. It's not like I've got like big groups of friends, but they're just little family ones that we set up, and everyone's so used to using them and communicating with them. For them to have to go to WhatsApp, they just won't do it. Okay, so that for me is a bit of a killer. Okay, iMessage is just easy, and it's this whole ease of use thing. Okay, to have to mess about with between two different platforms, it's just hard work. It's just hard work. And WhatsApp video, I've used WhatsApp video a lot now, and it's okay. It's okay. But FaceTime is much, much better. There's nothing you can do about that. It's an Android phone. It's never going to have iMessage. It's never going to have FaceTime. The other thing is you can do stuff like Google Duo, which is much, much better. But then that's fine for me. But then it involves people I know having to download another app, get used to another app. They're just not going to do it. So, yeah, it's something that I thought I could overcome. But again, once you've had iMessage, once you've had FaceTime, once all your friends and family have got iPhones, which all of mine have, I'm the black sheep of the family at the moment, it becomes a bit of a nuisance day to day. Green bubbles. Okay, so the next thing is integration into my other setup. Now this is completely my fault and nothing to do with Android or Google. Okay, over the years, because I've been an Apple user, I've bought iMacs, there's one over there, iPad Pros, iPhones, AirPods, all of that stuff. Okay, and when you're in the Apple ecosystem, it all just works. It all talks to each other. You can whip files around, your AirPods transfer to whatever device you're using, you can airdrop stuff to each other, and you just can't do it with an Android phone. Okay, and when this is your primary device, this is the thing you've got in your hand all the time, you just want it to work. Okay, so I have got my AirPods to work with it, but when you pop them in, you have to pair them up. With an iPhone, they just find it and work. Okay, integrating it into my daily workflow, I found an equivalent of AirDrop called Snapdrop that works quite well, thanks to Pete Matheson and his YouTube channel, and that's kind of a workaround, but it's not great and it doesn't work brilliantly. You have to go into a web browser to transfer things across, and from here it quite often won't find the computer to send files across, and then if you send videos it takes forever or doesn't work at all. With AirDrop on an iPhone it just works. Okay, now a lot of my work is transferring videos and images between devices, and to have that extra step to take or that bit of uncertainty about whether it's going to work is a bit annoying. So this, although it's a brilliant phone and it does some things with workarounds, having to do that every day is a bit of a nuisance. So it doesn't integrate brilliantly into my existing setup. Now, it's completely my fault because I'm an Apple fanboy and I always have been and I always will be, and it just doesn't work. And the last thing is going to make me sound like the worst person on the internet and the biggest snob in the whole world. Okay, the Pixel 6 Pro doesn't give me the feel good factor and I can't get away from it. Okay, you get this out and it just, those initial wow feelings have gone, and it just feels like a bit like a cheap plastic phone, and that's really disappointing. There's no, it's a really difficult one to explain. I mean, like if you're a car snob as well, like me, okay, you buy a Ford Fiesta and then you drive around in a BMW. One of those two things makes you feel good. Okay, the iPhone is a BMW, the Google Pixel 6 Pro is the Ford Fiesta. It's just, it does the same job, but it doesn't make you feel good while you're doing it. Okay, now considering the rest of my setup is Apple, AirPods, iMacs, iPads, MacBooks, all of that stuff is great. It's nice to touch, it's nice to use, and it just makes you feel like you've made a good investment. now the shine's worn off this, the initial shine, I haven't got that feeling anymore. Good phone, no wow factor. Particularly when there's lots of irritating things about it. If it did everything brilliantly, perhaps I'd feel better about it, but I just don't. I can't help that. And again, there's nothing Google can do about that. It's me. So most of these things are me. Not the phone. Me. I need to have a word with myself. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of you aren't still watching this. I'm sure a lot of you switched off after the first 3 or 4 minutes when I announced that I'm going to go back to one of these. I am waiting on a 13 Pro to arrive, and I will have a look at that when it arrives. But they're the reasons. And I think I've been completely fair throughout this experiment. I bought it as a work phone anyway, so it was never going to be my personal phone. I did say right at the very start of these videos that the likelihood is I would go back. Okay, now there were some points in the last 3 or 4 weeks when I've thought actually I might be able to stick it out, but the more I use the Google Pixel 6, the more it annoys me, and the more things I'm finding that it can't do, or it won't do, or it makes hard work of doing. And that just doesn't work for me. I can pick one of these up, use it, know it's going to work, do things quickly, and time is quite precious. I haven't got time to be messing about with new operating systems and workarounds and all of that. So this is a disappointing end to this experiment, but I'd love to know what you think. Have you tried one of these, or an Android phone, and then gone back to one of these? Have you gone from one of these to one of these and stayed? I mean, I don't know. Perhaps one day there'll be an Android phone that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, this is as close as it came. The S8 that I tried before, I hated instantly. I very much don't hate the Pixel 6 Pro. It just makes my life a little bit harder work than it needs to be. And that's it. It's that reason. Simple as that. So anyway, that's the reasons why I'm going back to being an Apple sheep. Yeah, follow this channel for updates on how that goes. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. It's growing brilliantly, which is great. Yeah, so I'll see you soon for the next video, which I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. See you next time.